Stop throwing your kitchen scraps in the bin. You're literally tossing away a $30 bag of fertilizer every single month.
See this jar on the left?
It's fizzing because we're turning hard eggshells into liquid calcium your plants can drink instantly. In the next 12 minutes, I'm showing you the 3-step rotation that University of Hawaii researchers say can transform your harvest from seed to fruit. Most people use the third scrap completely wrong and actually stunt their plant growth. I'll show you the 7-day fizz secret that changes everything. Stick with me. Here's what we're going to cover. The exact prep method for all 3. The right ratio, how long to wait, and how to store your jars so they last. Plus a 12-week rotation schedule so your plants get the right nutrient at exactly the right stage. We're starting with the fizzing one. Eggshells. And I'm going to show you why pouring boiling water over them is basically a waste of time. The prep that our testing and university data show to be most effective takes 7 days, costs almost nothing. And the difference in our trials was clearly visible. Most folks who save eggshells toss them straight into the compost or bury them whole near their tomato plants. And I get it. Eggshells are calcium, plants need calcium. Makes sense. But here's the thing. Whole eggshells can take years to break down in soil. You might as well be fertilizing with gravel. Watch what happens when you add vinegar. That fizzing you see, that's carbonic acid doing its work. Calcium carbonate reacting with acetic acid. What you end up with is calcium acetate. Dissolved calcium ions your roots can use right now. That's it. The vinegar does what boiling water never could. Here's why this works. Eggshells are about 94% calcium carbonate, same compound you find in limestone. It's rock solid. Water alone cannot break it down in any meaningful amount. Boiling a whole shell for 20 minutes releases less than 0.5% of its calcium into the water. But acetic acid, the stuff in plain white vinegar, breaks that calcium carbonate bond completely. You get free calcium ions, biologically available, absorbed by roots and leaves almost immediately. So here's how to make it. Peel off that thin inner membrane first. Just use your fingernail. Takes 5 seconds. Crush your shells down to about 1/4 inch. Then toast them on a dry skillet over low heat for about 45 minutes until they turn a light golden color. Not brown, not black, just golden. This drives out moisture and proteins and takes care of any bacteria on the shell surface. Then grab a glass jar, add your shells, and cover them with plain white vinegar, 5% acidity. Dirt cheap at any grocery store. 1 part shells to 10 parts vinegar by weight. Cover the jar with a piece of muslin cloth or a coffee filter, not a lid. Carbon dioxide needs to escape while it's working. Set it somewhere cool and dark for 7 to 10 days until the bubbling stops completely. Then strain and store. That jar will last you for years. University of Hawaii researchers published these exact guidelines in their cooperative extension document. They confirmed the 1:10 ratio with 5% vinegar. 7 to 10 days of reaction time. Traditional growers across East Asia have used this same calcium amendment for generations. The proof is in the pudding, folks. You might be wondering, Do I really need to toast the shells? Can't I just crush and soak? You can, but toasting does two things. It removes membrane proteins that can cloud your liquid, and it eliminates bacteria on the shell surface. An extra 20 minutes on a dry pan is worth it for a jar you're going to be storing and using all season long. And it's not just tomatoes and peppers. Gardeners report solid results with cabbage lettuce and apple trees too. Any plant showing tip burn or dark, leathery spots on developing fruit is telling you it needs calcium in a form it can actually absorb. Water-soluble calcium gets into the plant fast, which matters when fruit is already forming, and every day counts. One evening of prep. 1 jar. Enough calcium fertilizer for an entire season, from something you'd have tossed in the trash. But calcium alone won't give you heavy fruit. For that, you need potassium, and that's where banana peels come in. A lot of people are doing this one wrong, and I'll show you exactly what to change. All right, banana peels. This one gets the most questions. People soak them. The liquid turns amber and earthy, and it feels like it's gotta be working. But here's what's actually happening, and why the prep method makes all the difference between results and a jar full of fungus gnats. Potassium in banana peels does exist. Dried peel runs around 2 to 4% potassium by weight, and potassium is a free ion. It doesn't bind to the cellulose the way some nutrients do, so it can move into water. The catch is that a basic cold soak releases only a fraction of that. You want to get the most out of it. The prep method and timing matter. Gardeners across multiple growing zones consistently report better fruit set when they nail the dilution and the timing window. Here's how to do it right. Cut your banana peels into 1-inch pieces. More surface area, faster diffusion. Use room temperature water and soak for no more than 48 hours. Don't go past 48. After that anaerobic fermentation kicks in, the water goes sour, starts attracting fungus gnats, and the whole thing becomes a problem. After 48 hours, drain it. Dilute 1 to 10 with water and use it right away. Use riper peels when you can. They tend to have more available potassium since more starch has converted. In a 2021 study published in IOP Conference Series on Earth and Environmental Science, researchers ran a controlled trial on eggplant crops using fully prepared banana peel liquid. The group receiving it produced over 800 grams of fruit per plant. Statistically comparable to plots using commercial potassium chloride fertilizer. Now that study used a fermented preparation, not a raw soak, so treat the raw soak method as a solid supplemental boost, while the science on prep method continues to build. And timing is everything here. Banana peel tea is your weeks 9 through 12 move. The fruit swelling stage. That's when your tomatoes and peppers need potassium to push sugars into the fruit, regulate water uptake, and thicken the cell walls so your harvest actually holds. About 500 milliliters per plant, diluted 1 to 10, 1 to 2 times a week during that window. Use it too early and you're pushing the wrong nutrient at the wrong stage. Good news for folks growing more than just nightshades. Banana peel tea works well for eggplant, squash, and strawberries too. Any fruiting crop with high potassium demand. Skip it for root vegetables like carrots during their bulbing phase. Too much potassium at that point tends to push leaf growth instead of root development. And if you've been burying raw peels near your plants, that creates anaerobic pockets in the soil, locks up nitrogen, and attracts pests. Liquid form controlled dilution is the smarter play, rain or shine. 2 scraps down. This rotation works because each jar is solving a different problem at a different stage. Calcium in flowering, potassium in fruiting. Now the third scrap covers the beginning, nitrogen for your seedlings. And there's something about it you need to know before you use it anywhere near your pets. Don't skip this next part. Before we go anywhere with coffee grounds, if you have a dog or a cat at home, this is the part you need to listen to. Caffeine stays concentrated in used grounds even after brewing. For a 15-pound dog, about 3 teaspoons of grounds can cause tremors and a racing heart, according to veterinary toxicology data. 10 teaspoons can be fatal for that same dog. Cats are even more sensitive to caffeine than dogs are. Keep your coffee grounds jar completely out of reach. And don't spread loose grounds on soil where your pets walk or sniff. Don't panic. We're going to use this safely. But that warning comes first. Now USD grounds only. Never fresh unbrewed grounds. Fresh grounds still have high free caffeine, plus compounds called phenols and tannins that can actually suppress root growth. WSU Extension flagged this in their research on composting coffee grounds. Uncomposted fresh grounds showed growth-inhibiting effects when applied directly to soil. Used grounds have had most of that washed out during brewing. That's a meaningful difference. The recipe is simple. 2 cups of used grounds into 5 gallons of water. Steep at room temperature for a few hours up to overnight. Strain. Before using, grounds left sitting in the water will start growing mold pretty quickly. And if you're picking up free grounds from a coffee shop, spread them thin on a tray and let them dry for 24 to 48 hours before you store them. Wet grounds in a sealed jar will mold within a day. Trust me on this one, folks. Here's why coffee grounds work as a nitrogen source. They run about 1 to 2% nitrogen by weight, but it's in an organic form, bound up in proteins. Soil microbes have to break it down first, releasing ammonium and nitrate over time. That makes it a slow-release supplement, not a fast fix. Good for building steady structure in young seedlings, not the right move if you need a nitrogen boost right now. Use this during weeks 1 through 4. Seedling and early vegetative growth. Once every 2 weeks, 250 to 500 milliliters per plant. Spinach, lettuce, kale. Love this. Any leafy green building biomass from steady nitrogen. Gardeners growing tomatoes in containers report their transplants go into the ground noticeably stronger when they use this during the seedling phase. Nothing complicated. Just the 2 cups, 5 gallons method twice over 4 weeks. 2 things I want to clear up. First, coffee grounds do not acidify your soil. Used grounds test at a pH of 6.5 to 6.8. That's nearly neutral. If you've been counting on them to lower your pH for blueberries or azaleas, it won't work the way you're hoping. Second, don't use coffee grounds in seed starting trays. Caffeine in the growing medium inhibits germination. You'd be working against yourself right from the start. Plain and simple. Now, some of you are probably thinking, this seems like extra work when you could just compost the grounds. And honestly, that's completely fair. Composting is also a solid approach. WSU Extension actually recommends it as their primary guidance. What this liquid method does is give you a quick supplemental boost during a specific growth window without needing a full compost cycle to finish. Both approaches work. They're just solving slightly different timing problems.
All right, 3 scraps, 3 jobs.
Eggshell WCA, 1:10 ratio, 5% vinegar. 7 to 10 days, then strain. Dilute 1 to 1,000, about 20 milliliters, in a gallon of water once a week. Weeks 5 through 8. Banana peel tea. 48-hour soak, diluted 1 to 10. Weeks 9 through 12, 1 to 2 times a week.
Coffee grounds, liquid.
2 cups in 5 gallons, steep overnight. Weeks 1 through 4 every 2 weeks, and keep it away from pets. 3 jars, 3 phases, 1 season. Back to the question from the start. Which one has peer-reviewed science behind it? Eggshell WCA, yes. University of Hawaii confirmed. The prep method in a published cooperative extension document. Banana peel liquid. A 2021 controlled trial found that a properly prepared version performed comparably to commercial potassium fertilizer on eggplant crops.
Coffee grounds.
Solid university extension support for slow-release nitrogen as a supplement. Use them as part of a rotation, not a replacement, and you'll see results from seed to harvest, rain or shine. Tonight, save your next batch of eggshells in a bowl. That's literally all you need to do today. In 10 days, you'll have your first jar of water-soluble calcium ready for flowering season. Dirt cheap. From something you'd have thrown away anyway. Drop a comment below and tell me, which jar are you starting with? Eggshell, banana, or coffee? I read every single one. Happy gardening!